Like I said, my name is Jerrid Cunniff. I'm an EUC SE specialist with VMware, and I actually live here in Minneapolis. So we're going to talk about vRops, right, both for Horizon and published applications, right? We'll figure out to discuss what that exactly means from a published applications perspective. But just curious, who is using vRops today? Anybody? Okay, one. Okay, who's everyone running VDI of some sort, whether it's Horizon, Citrix? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. 1 second. Okay, I'm close enough. I'll stand here and do it. So with vRealize operations for Horizon and published applications, right, some of the 4 key areas when it comes to this solution is be able to do entire stack monitoring, right, end to end. So insight into the users, applications, protocol, all the way down to the actual hardware, right, that we're running on from an infrastructure perspective. Single pane of glass management, both for Horizon and Citrix, right, be able to look at XenApp and XenDesktop. Right size resources, right, so we can understand how are we provisioned and did we over provision, right, so we can essentially right size it. And then end user viewpoints, right, so be able to optimize performance, meet SLAs, understand how well your environment is running. So like I said, again, end-to-end monitoring and management and analytics, right? Users, the apps, the sessions, the protocol that we're using, PC over IP, Blast Extreme with Horizon 7. And the most, I think, important thing is how's the infrastructure running, right? How is vSphere operating? Do I have problems, hotspots on my servers, on my data stores, et cetera? So why vRealize operations for Horizon and published apps, right? Improve admin efficiency. Right, end user productivity, right? So be able to understand how well it's running, Helpdesk, insight into vSphere infrastructure, right? So it's great, I can understand how Horizon is running or Citrix is running from an application perspective, but how is it actually running on my infrastructure, right? Do I need to add more hosts, more capacity? How is my data stores, which is obviously is probably the #1 thing when it comes to VDI or published applications, right, is making sure that you have enough IOPS, enough capacity on the storage. And accelerate Horizon, XenApp, and XenDesktop deployments, right? A lot of things happen when you start doing a POC to pilot to production, and you start to scale that, right, from the 500s to 1,000s to tens of thousands of desktops. You need some sort of management and monitoring platform, right, especially as it grows that large. And if you don't, usually it stalls, right? And then people have bad perception, and essentially the product, the solution does not get adopted in your organization. So key use cases, right? Application usage reports. So we have out-of-box reports built in here, right? And we'll cover what those are. Proactive user experience monitoring, right? So we have actually a new user experience dashboard that allows you to understand the vCPU, the VRAM, the disk, ICA, PC over IP, right, and give you just in one dashboard how well is my user experience for my users. And then reduce time to resolve, right? So instead of essentially having to go across your entire infrastructure, right, and especially we start talking about VDI and XenApp, XenDesktop, there's a lot of moving parts, right? Is it the actual physical endpoint? Is it the network that the user is using? Because maybe they're at home, they're Starbucks, corporate offices, whatever, to the infrastructure itself. Right? Where is my problem? Where is my bottleneck? That's what vRops allows you to understand is, well, where do I need to actually pinpoint and spend my time? Right? Where should I be looking? Oh, it's my disk. Oh, it's my host. That's where I'm going to go and spend my time to resolve this problem. So again, right, we have a XenDesktop adapter for 7.6, also XenApp, right, because Citrix essentially rebranded, XenApp 6.5, and Horizon. Right? All these adapters just plug into vRealize Operations Manager. So what's new? Windows 10 desktop support, right? So supporting Windows 10. We did some capacity and UX dashboards, right? So new dashboards, new metrics, RDS application user reporting, and performance fixes. So again, one of the key things is a single console to monitor both Horizon and Citrix XenDesktop, XenApp. All right, so one single pane of glass to be able to monitor your complete end user computing environment when it comes to these 3 products. What's also great is that obviously vRealize Operations Manager can also manage and monitor your vSphere infrastructure, your servers, right? And you can even have a single pane of glass for both your servers and your end user computing environment. One of the cool things that we added here in the last few years with vRealize Operations is login metrics, right? So we're able to understand where in the login process, right, it might be slow. Where is it impacting your users, right? So we're able to collect session total login time, desktop login time, profile load time, and shell load time. So if somebody says, oh, it's slow, well, what does that mean? Right, slow to log in, okay? Well, still, what does that mean? Is it the actual connection? Did actually broker access? Is it the actual profile loading? How long does it take for the shell to start? Right, so maybe somebody has a very bloated profile and it's taking 2 minutes to log in. This will be able to tell you, oh, it took 2 minutes to actually load the profile. That's where I need to spend my time. Collect in-guest metrics, right? So we can actually go in and on demand go collect in-guest metrics, both for VDI and RDSH. Right, so just like opening up Task Manager on that machine, you can do that from within vRops, right? And see the session, CPU, memory, etc., just like in Task Manager. But again, single pane of glass management within vRops to be able to do that. It also gives PC over IP and ICA protocol level insight. And again, it works with XenApp 6.5, XenDesktop, and Horizon. So again, both desktop and application sessions and RDSH hosts are supported. As you can see here, we can get the desktop client trace route, desktop services, desktop process, server users, server services, and get server processes. One key thing here is it's on demand. We're not always collecting, right? You have to come in here and actually invoke it. And once it's invoked, 5-10 seconds later, right, we collect that metrics and we display it. But that's one of the key things. Today it's just not always collecting. So just running through, right, how V4H makes troubleshooting easy. V4H is vRealize for Operations for Horizon, V4H. We can essentially see all the different user sessions, right? So Helpdesk could come in here. They could search for the user at the top right, in the filter, put the username. We select the user. We get user-centric metrics. So I can understand, login process like you saw. I could see PC over IP, blast, transmit, receive, CPU, disk, memory, right? And give kind of a stoplight color-coded display here of where there might be hotspots. Where are the problems? And be able to get user and app processes, right? So one dashboard, be able to monitor your user session, whether that's VDI or RDSH. You can also quickly see your top-centric metrics, right? So we're able to see, again, from a heat map perspective, that environment. We stack rank some of the metrics here, for instance, like sessions with the highest PC over IP latency, right? So who's actually having maybe a degraded experience? Users consuming the most bandwidth, sessions with the highest packet loss, and users with the slowest login times, right? So again, one dashboard, visually just see quickly who might actually be impacted, who's having problems, right? And then correlate that and drill down further to see maybe it's more than just one user. Maybe it's the whole desktop pool. Maybe it's your entire environment, right? But again, just trying to make it easier for you to diagnose where do you need to spend your time. Any questions so far? I just want to make this interactive. If you have questions, you can interrupt me during. Yep, in the back.
I know very little about this.
Okay.
This is a VMware product?
It is a VMware product.
And it works for Citrix as well?
Correct.
Does it require anything else in addition to just the agent that it has? Like any other Citrix components to run? If it's looking at like XenApp and stuff like that?
Well, so you obviously have to have Citrix stood up, right, in your environment. From a Citrix requirement, no. I mean, we just plug into the controller. I forget what they may call it these days, but it used to be the desktop controller, right, delivery controller. We install a broker agent on that. And then we also install agents on the machines.
Okay.
Yep.
It doesn't require like the inside agent or inside.
Nope. Nope. And we'll talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So overall deployment architecture, right? There's a common architecture. Deploy vRops, and then plug in the adapters based on what you want to monitor and manage. Horizon, Citrix, and XenApp. As you see there on the left, I have my Citrix, XenDesktop, XenApp environment. You could feed that into vRops, and at the same time, if you have a Horizon deployment, because maybe you're running both, feed that also into the same vRops instance. Okay, one. There you go. So this is what it looks like, right? Let me, hold on, there it is, it doesn't build out, it's one whole screen. So for Horizon 6, Zen Desktop, Zen App 7.6, and Zen App 6.5, we can run them all together, right? We can support all three of those platforms. So starting on the left, we have the vRealize operations cluster, right? So that's the vApp, right? It's a vApp that you download and deploy onto the vSphere. You plug it into vCenter, which then starts monitoring your host, your infrastructure, and then you deploy the adapters inside vRops. The adapters then talk to those specific environments, whether it's Horizon 6.2, right, which then you have a connection broker agent on one of the connection servers, and then within the actual Horizon agent, we already have the plugin for vRops, so there's nothing else to do. Citrix Zen Desktop, Zen App, same kind of thing. There's a controller, right, broker agent that goes on the desktop delivery controller or whatever Citrix 7.x is calling that, right, their broker, and then you have a desktop agent or Zen App agent. Same thing with Citrix Zen App 6.5. There's actually a kind of a middleware. So there's like a broker integration service, could be a standalone server that talks through PowerShell to Zen App 6.5, right? That's how we collect information from like the delivery controller. And then we have the agents again on Zen App 6.5. That all feeds back into vRops, right? To collect all the metrics, show that, and display that in the dashboard. Just drilling down more into the architecture like we talked about, I just previously talked about, right? We collect desktop metrics from the agent on the desktop. We collect view topology from the actual connection broker with the agent, collect information from the database server, right? And we can feed that all back into vRops. Zen App 6.5, right? So there's a V4PA adapter, right? Again, we deploy that adapter on top of vRops. There's a broker agent that goes on that middleware that talks through PowerShell to Zen App 6.5. And then there's a desktop agent. When it comes to 7.6, again, we have an adapter, right, that we plug into vRops. We have the broker agent that goes on the actual control center or delivery controller, and then also the desktop agent, right, whether it's Zen Desktop or Zen App. Pretty common architecture, right, having one broker agent to collect the data from the actual management, understand topology, then having an agent on the actual machine to collect the actual metrics from the desktop or RDSH perspective. Deployment options, we can do a single node, not recommended, right, especially for production. Have a vRops cluster, which is multiple nodes linked together for high availability, or a vRops in a cluster with remote collectors. So if you have a very distributed, large environment, maybe multi-sites, you could still have one vRops master node in, say, your primary data center, and then your secondary data centers that might have somewhat of a larger deployment, but not as large as your primary, obviously. You can have a remote collector that just feeds the data back into that one single pane of glass from all your distributed environments. Dashboards and reports. I actually wanted to show this live, but I can't because we have a little bit of a problem with our demo environment right now that I just discovered an hour ago. But this is, from a Horizon perspective, the dashboards, right, built into vRops. We deliver these dashboards, right? That's what comes in the adapter, is these pre-configured dashboards. First one, Horizon Overview, right? Essentially assesses your pod usage, client performance, overall user experience, Horizon View related alerts, capacity, planning, etc. Very high level, 10,000-foot view, right? Horizon Infrastructure. This drills down into the actual infrastructure that Horizon's running on, so the vSphere hosts, right? CPU, memory, disk, gives you a heat map so you can understand where the actual resources are being used, right? And then it gives the stoplight, right? Green, yellow, red, orange, right? Of what might be good to bad. Horizon VDI pools, right? So I can actually troubleshoot on a pool perspective, right? Understand how the machines are running. So I can look at I have multiple different desktop pools, maybe Windows 7, Windows 10, Windows 8, whatever it is, how you ever design your environment. We can look at a pool level, how well is that pool running? RDS pools. So again, from an RDS perspective, we can understand how well that RDSH server is running. And we can even drill down to a per application that's published. Just like I talked about Horizon applications, so within those RDSH servers and you're deploying applications out to users, you can see on a per application basis information and metrics about how well that's running. Desktop usage, right? You can view active and disconnected sessions, top alerts, user session details, RDS host details, and adapter self-health. And then lastly, the new dashboard that we delivered is the end user experience dashboard. A little busy, but actually it's a very good dashboard that really shows how well your users are performing, right? What's their experience? Are they having a good experience or a bad experience? And if they're having a bad experience, you'd probably see a lot of red, right? And you'd be able to drill down and see, well, why are they having a problem, right? Where is that issue? Where do you need to spend your time? And then lastly, built-in reports, right? So pool details, pool usage, desktop pool usage, license compliance, pool usage overview, RDS, desktop pool details, and session statistics. Right, so again, predefined reports that we just have delivered in here. You can create your own, but we have reports built in here on that list that you're able to run, get information out about your Horizon environment. V for PA, vRealize for published applications, right? So Citrix. Not going to go over kind of the features and benefits. We already kind of discussed that, right? But one of the key things, right, when you talk about Citrix, well, if you have Citrix deployed and you use Citrix Director, right, Edge Site, that's obviously giving you information just about the Citrix stack, right, everything above the hypervisor. So with V4PA, our premise is, well, why not actually collect the same thing that Citrix Edge Site is, but obviously then get the benefit of how the infrastructure is running and correlate that together, right? So we can actually manage them out of their entire stack. So instead of Edge Site, vRealize operations for published applications to pull that Zen app, Zen desktop information along with the ESX vSphere environment that most likely you're utilizing to run Citrix, right? And again, provide that one single console. This goes into the different dashboards that we can do with Citrix, and we all officially support from a QA perspective 7.6 feature or feature release 3, right? Is what we actually designed and tested for. So we have a Zen desktop, Zen app overview, same kind of thing with Horizon, very high level, how well is my environment running? If you have multiple different environments, you can see them all listed here, right? So if you have, say, 3, 4, 5 Zen app, Zen desktop deployments out there, they're separate, right? All completely separate. You can actually get from this one console, or this one dashboard, sorry, be able to select those environments and see the information, right? It'll list them all. Server and desktops, right? So session host server metrics and really vSphere VMs, right? Server resource utilization. Application level information, right? So being able to pull information about those applications, protocol level information, how often they're being launched, who's actually launching them. VDI desktops. So again, pulling information from a Citrix Zen desktop perspective. Same kind of thing like you have on Horizon. Yep, question?
Does it also work with like a Citrix Zen shared hosted desktop?
Yeah. Yep. It does. So anything RDSH or VDI. Yep. So same kind of thing here. I can drill down on my user session, select that user, get information about what they're currently doing, like the different spark lines here of, you know, how much bandwidth they're using, CPU, memory, etc., and be able to get then the actual guest server services or the actual session services. Session details, same kind of thing here, what's going on from a session perspective, and again, that same thing, select a user, login time, etc. And the user experience dashboard, again, be able to get that heat map, what's the virtual disk, vCPU, VRAM, protocol, and anything else that might be affecting that user experience in the entire environment, right? Will be displayed here, and you can again drill down further. Built-in reports, farm overview, the Zen desktop server report, application report, license usage, license trends, and user usage summary report. 6.5, I mean, it's almost the same exact thing, right? Again, overview of your entire Zen app environment. Infrastructure information, so again, the vSphere infrastructure, how well that is performing. Zen app server information, right? Be able to get that from a dashboard perspective. Host server metrics, vSphere VM metrics, control server metrics. Session detail, so again, be able to see that Zen app session. Be able to select that, see what applications they're actually launching. If they're doing a shared desktop, the shared desktop. Same thing, drilling down into that per application then. They actually say if I'm publishing Office, I could see all the different Office applications or whatever it is and drill down into those specific actual applications that are being published and get those metrics of performance. Application usage, right? So application alerts, launch time across farms, application session information, right? Really be able to view the workload, historical usage, right? How often is this application actually being used? Is anybody using it at all, right? And then built-in reports. Right, pretty much the same thing as in Desktop 7.6. So user workflows, right? I think this is important just to show how it could be used, right? I think one of the things with VROPS is that it gives you a lot of information, right? Sometimes a lot of too much information and you don't know how to consume it, right? How do I actually utilize this product? So we're going to kind of run through 3 different scenarios, right? Helpdesk admin, desktop admin, and VP of desktop. So say, Helpdesk administrator workflow, right? Somebody calls Helpdesk, says my desktop is slow. Well, what does that mean? My desktop is slow, right? That can mean a whole bunch of different things. Be able to go into the actual session, right? For that user, again, that one I showed you about, you can go search for an active session. So the Helpdesk person comes in here, goes to the remote session details dashboard. They search for a user, right? They select the user, right? So they see that current active session, what desktop they're on, where they're connecting from, for instance. We can actually grab the actual physical computer name, the actual agent version they're using. We'll be able to actually pull the actual version of the Horizon client they're using, right? So we can really understand, what is that session, what makes up that session. And maybe they have a poor performance because they're on an old version of the Horizon client, right? So you're able to get that, at least the troubleshoot, right? Something to do from a Helpdesk perspective. We can look for potential problems in the user-centric metrics. So again, we can understand packet loss, transmit, receive, USB, audio, right? So if somebody says my session is slow, well, everything looks good on the VM, CPU's fine, right? Well, okay, let's look at their network information. Oh, it's because I have a 300 packet loss, right? That's just not going to work usually. Right? So, okay, maybe you have a problem on your network. We have a network-related issue here. Where are you? Oh, you're at Starbucks. Oh, that's why you say you have a slow, degraded performance, right? And then we can also then collect the ingest process service details. Right? So one key dashboard here for Helpdesk, right? I think is really key here to be able to really understand and troubleshoot that user session. Right? Problem solve, thanks, bro. Right? You can be able to really identify and solve that user's problem. For virtual infrastructure and desktop administrator workflow, right? They need to see the environment, trends at a glance. They want to see the vSphere infrastructure, really quickly drill down into the problems, proactive alerts. Right, so they're able to come in here into the infrastructure and desktop administrator workflow. They can go to the view overview dashboard. Right, they can see the entire environment. How well is my view Horizon environment running? They can see important alerts that might be affecting performance, right? And they can drill down, see what that alert is, what actual components are causing that alert to occur. They can monitor the overall pod health, right? So, for instance, how many sessions? What's the overall user workload? How many remaining sessions do I have? Right? Pod capacity. They can then observe session metrics for the entire pod. Right, so overall, how well the pod is performing. So for instance, we drill down into alert, we can get the problem detail and problem causes. Right, that's one of the cool things about VROPS is obviously we're correlating a lot of data, especially from the infrastructure perspective. So if there's an alert that's generated, whether it's the VM, the physical server, we can see what the actual root cause is. I think in this example, actually it's space. Right, we're seeing we're going to run out of space in the VM. Right? The VM is about to run out of disk capacity. We can see relationships to other objects, right? Which is really, I think, is really cool here, where we can actually build this tree out, so I can actually see what I'm actually looking at right now, say the VM, and then I can see what correlates to that VM, what data store it's part of, what connection server the user is using, security server, the physical machine they're using to connect to that virtual environment, right? And be able to drill down into each one of those. They can see all the other symptoms on the object, right? So if they select an object, you can see if there's any other symptoms occurring. They could use the view remote session dashboard, right? So they could see stacked ranked, who's having problems, right? So if we see a lot of people with slow login times, maybe we have a problem in the infrastructure, right? Probably with the profiles. Quickly view the sessions and heat maps, right? Sized by the user-centric metrics. See again the stacked ranked, right? For those different users with the highest experience related metrics, PC over IP, transmit, receive, login time, etc. And the VP of desktop, right? So again, be able to use that dashboard, right? The overall Horizon Pod dashboard, the overview one, to get just from a very high perspective, how well is my EUC environment running, right? Do I have problems? Do I need to ask, okay, well, why am I almost running out of capacity, right? Give a heat map, right, for SLA monitoring, and then the built-in reports are key, right? So we get report on application and desktop pool usage. Licensing information is key too, right? For instance, how many licenses you're using versus you have purchased. And then the adapter self-help dashboard. And they can see the license usage in real time and history in here also. So over time, and as this product collects data for almost an infinite amount of time that's configured. And I think by default, it's probably like 6+ years, I believe, in the product. So you go back 6 years or more. And again, the built-in reports. License compliance, for instance, license detail report, etc. So that is VRops. I wanted to show a live demo of it versus going through all the dashboards. I know it was a little mundane, a little bland. I realize it. But like I said, our demo environment, sadly, is not available. So, any questions? Yep.
Are you able to work with terminal servers and watch those at all? Having Horizon and VDI or anything like that?
So you want like a pure Microsoft deployment? Yeah. Not today. Nope. It's either Horizon or the Citrix. Yep. Now, if you were running one of those with RDSH or terminal services, then yes, right, within Horizon or Citrix. Good question. Yep.
Maybe a silly question, but why make it work with Citrix, and why does it look better than the Citrix?
Why make it work with Citrix? Because, honestly, just like some of our other products we have out there that work with Citrix, we think we can provide something probably better that customers want. And I think the key thing really is VRops is collecting the infrastructure, right? Most Citrix customers are deploying Citrix on top of vSphere, but Citrix essentially has no way to go below their stack, right? And so we have this product, this great product, right, that can monitor the infrastructure. Why not build something to essentially pull the Citrix into it and provide that single pane of glass? We have a lot of Citrix customers out there, and we want to be somewhat agnostic to an extent of integration, right? For instance, if you look at Identity Manager, for instance, that can actually support Citrix, right? Be able to publish XenApp applications through our portal with Identity Manager, right? Because maybe we think we provide a better portal and end user experience, right? So it's the same kind of thought process. Yep. Yep.
You made one comment that I had a question on-demand processing that you're not always collecting.
For the ingest metrics, correct. We're not always collecting data, right? So it's on demand, meaning that the help desk where the user has to go into VRops, go to that dashboard, and essentially say, invoke, I want to collect the ingest metrics.
So that collecting would actually start when the end user calls the help desk?
Yes. Yep. The problem we have right now, from my understanding, is obviously if we're always collecting metrics, VRops would grow to a massive size, right? So that's kind of our limitation today. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you. I have no idea what